Okay, you guys, let's get off into making this homemade pizza. And as with anything, you can do it how you want to do it. You could add or subtract. But the toppings that I'm going to have on this pizza are going to be obviously the sauce, pepperoni, feta cheese, and then I'm going to fry up some chicken breasts and chop them up and put them on top of the pizza. I took you guys with me to Chiefs when I bought this pizza dough kit, and these are the things we're going to need. So now I'm going to start kneading this for about 3 minutes. Once I'm done kneading it, I'm going to transfer it into an oiled bowl, and then I'm going to let it sit for 45 minutes so that it can rise. And in that time, I'm going to be prepping my chicken and so on and so forth. So let me do a story time on how my friend's husband missed his flight when we went to New Jersey and how he then became my husband. Before I get off into talking about this story, I want to say it is so important that you pray and ask God to cover you every day, all day. But specifically when you're going out of town, you're traveling, whether you're driving or flying, because you don't know how your prayers cover a multitude of things. So let me start off by saying we were supposed to leave and be on the highway by 6:30. Somehow we came up with the bright idea to leave at 7:30 because our flight didn't leave till 11. Keep in mind, where we live, where we were driving to the airport was a 2-hour drive. So realistically, we should have left at 6:30. So we didn't actually get on the highway until a little bit after 8 o'clock. So you already know, if we didn't get on the highway until a little bit after 8 o'clock, we were already behind the 8 ball. So we're on the highway. It's a little bit after 8 o'clock in the morning. Keep in mind, we have to be on our flight by 10:57 because that's when it's taken off. And we're almost there. Everything was going good. I'm even amazed at how we're making time. But not until we get stopped by traffic on 75, and we sat in traffic for about 25 to 30 minutes. We're kind of in a slight panic because we know now we're going to be late. We're thinking we're not going to make our flight. But ironically enough, I wasn't panicked. I was very calm. I wasn't stressed. Normally, I would be biting my nails like, oh boy, what does this mean? We're going to miss our flight. We're going to have to catch another flight. I was thinking I would be like that, but I. So then Jean gets an alert that our flight has been delayed. Again, God answering prayers, covering all the things. So you can imagine how excited we were to know that we had some extra time. So we finally get to the airport. We're all excited because we're going to make it. Sidebar, I am going to put onions on my pizza along with a couple other little things, but I want to kind of cook my onions a little bit before I put them in the oven so they're already cooked and sauteed and all that good stuff. Now, I want you to keep in mind that Jean's husband was asleep the whole time because he's been working a whole bunch of hours and he worked late the night before we left. So he slept the way there. So he had no idea that we were delayed or any of that until he woke up. So getting back to the airport, we get there, we're excited because we made it. We get in there, we park, all the things, only to find out we're at the wrong airport. We go back to the car with all the things. You guys already know that my ankle was in a dill pickle, just getting over COVID. So I really wasn't feeling 100%, but I was making it work. We get back in the car, we go to the airport, only to realize we are back at the same airport. How we didn't recognize that until we got in there, I don't know. But in my defense, I've never flown from this airport or anything, so I had no idea anyway. So I was an innocent bystander in that. At this point, we're going to be late. We're going to miss our flight because we are significantly late. We need to be boarding at this point. Jean then gets another text that our flight is delayed. You can't tell me that wasn't God. And I really don't want to make this a part two because I can't stand part twos, but it might be. So we're shocked, we're frustrated, but we're happy all at the same time. Meanwhile, I'm still calm, cool, and collected because I know this is God looking out, covering us. So we finally get to the right airport, all is well. So Jean starts explaining to her husband how we were delayed and how that's a good thing, so on and so forth. And we're excited because we're going to make our flight, all is well with the world. So we get checked in, go through security, all the things. I stopped to get a Tylenol because at this point your girl had a headache. We go get a little
couple snacks just to take on the plane with us. He then tells her he's going down to the gate. So we're assuming he's at the gate waiting for us. So we get down there to load the plane. She calls him to see where he's at, if he's on the plane waiting for us, whatever. Turns out he's at McDonald's. And he's at McDonald's because he's not really sure how long we were delayed. He didn't know if we had 30 minutes to kill, 20 minutes to kill, no minutes to kill, but he and another friend was at McDonald's. By the time he got back down to the aircraft, it was too late. They had closed it. There was no way for him to get on. I thought that type of stuff only happened in movies. Like, I get a plane can be delayed and so on and so forth, but I've never actually seen in real life a person miss their flight. I mean, to the point you miss it, you're there and they say no. Now, I've heard of people having close calls, but there is grace and mercy extended to them and they somehow get on. So we're asking, is there any way he can get on? And it was just too late. So they had to catch another flight. So our plane flew into Philly. Our plane landed in Philly, and because they had to catch another flight, we had to end up staying in Philly 2 extra hours to wait for them, to land and so on and so forth. We've never been to Philly, but my girl Jenny can drive her butt off. She's a G when it comes. So kind of like I'm doing now, just waiting for my dough to rise and so on and so forth. That's what we were doing. We were waiting for their plane to land. So at this point, their plane should have landed. We're going back to the airport to pick them up because we're excited that we're finally getting to get back on the road, because we have to drive an hour to Atlantic City, which is how we planned it and so on and so forth. So we're excited that we're actually getting ready to get our evening started. And we're kind of still hopeful that we can make our reservations for dinner in the comedy club that night. Hopeful, not 100% it was going to happen, but still hopeful. We get to the airport. She calls him. He answers the phone. She's like, where are you guys at? So on and so forth. He said, we're still on the plane. And she said, okay, so you must have landed because you wouldn't be able to talk on the phone if you were in the air. Long story short, he fell asleep, didn't realize they never took off because they had a delay. Meanwhile, we're thinking they've landed. He's thinking they've taken off and landed. They never moved. You guessed it, we're back in Philly for 2 more hours because they haven't even taken off. We had to cancel our dinner reservations, the comedy club reservations, which we got to do all that the very next night. But that night, it did not happen. I'm laughing now, but I don't think Gene's husband realized how much danger he was in between Jenny and her, because they were fit to be tied. I say that because they're wondering, like, why did he call and tell us that they hadn't taken off? But we later found out he never even knew that they hadn't took off because, again, he was tired from working all these hours. He didn't sleep the night before from working. So he's thinking when he fell asleep on the plane, he slept, woke up, they're there. And just out of frustration, and we just couldn't imagine this day going the way it went, she just was like, he's your husband. Meanwhile, I can kind of see how the disconnect happened. I can see the lack of communication and the paying attention to the text message to let him know that we were in fact delayed, because we were all getting a group text message. But in his defense, he really didn't have a lot of time to be reading text because once he woke up, he started driving. Don't get me wrong, my loyalty is always with my girl, but I'm a person, and this gets me in trouble, I'm a person who likes to look at both sides of the coin.